She wears short skirts, I wear t-shirts. She's cheer captain, I'm on the bleachers. I live for it. So
I'm not a Swiffy or whatever they're called. Welcome to Talk About Scary, the show where we do just that. Talk about scary places.
Hey now, I'm Adam.
I'm Clay. Because my parents named me that.
Named him after the material, clay.
You can play with me.
That's right.
Like Play-Doh.
If they had a brother, they would have named him Picasso.
Maybe.
He liked to use clay. It's an Adam episode today. Hooray for me. And, we usually talk about scary places, mostly just hauntings, but I'm going to shake it up a bit. Next few episodes.
Like the Taylor Swift song?
Shake it up, that's right. I love that song, by the way.
I don't.
Unapologetically, I love that. If it comes on, I will. That and the one where she goes, she wears short skirts, I wear t-shirts. She's cheer captain, I'm on the bleachers. I live for it. So
I'm not a Swiffy or whatever they're called.
I like to actually Taylor Swift around the house sometimes, and that's when you pull your legs up to your head like a dog, and then you drag your naked butt across the floor. It's called Taylor Swifting, and I really enjoy doing that. And other than that, I do like those songs. I don't care who knows. So it took me a while. That Shake It Off song. It took me a while. I'm like, I don't like this song. This is not a sick beat, but it grows on you. So I'm going to allow it now. Anyway, I'm going to shake it up, not off. But I'm going to shake it up right now. In the next few episodes that I do, that are my episodes, I'm going to do things that are not haunted based or not haunting based in like an area.
But they're still scary.
They're still scary.
Okay.
But stuff that I think is scary, and I think that the listeners who like me and don't like you are going to enjoy more.
They don't like me? Like the listeners who don't
the
like
ones
me?
that prefer me will not, or have my point of view on things.
What are those called? The Adamites?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Mine are called the Clay TTs.
The Clay TTs. That's not like that. That's it. Get your shirts. Oh, by the way, I just want to mention before we start that our special feature presentation, A Haunting at the Monte Vista movie is out on Vimeo right now. So if you want to jump on the bandwagon before everybody else gets to see it on all the other platforms, go rent it on Vimeo. And we'll keep you updated every time it goes on to a new platform for those out there who do not want to rent it but would rather watch it on a streaming service that you already pay for. Okay.
And to follow up, as Emperor Palpatine says, do it.
Do it.
He does. He does.
It's a trap! I love doing that. If you do that in a grocery store, there's a guy in the back that's going to laugh every single time. Any crowd you do it in, you'll know who your friends are if you scream, "It's a trap!"
Pretty much true. That's very true.
Okay, so I'm doing something that's near and dear to both our hearts, and everybody who is a UFO-y that believes in extraterrestrial life. UFOs. That's right. They know this story too. But Clay and I, we live here, so we're talking about it. It's called, ready? The Phoenix Lights. The Phoenix Lights. That's right. Or also known as the Lights over Phoenix. I don't know why there's two names for it. It's the Phoenix Lights.
I feel like the second one is like the Spanish translation. Because you know how when you translate the words like never quite... Like when you translate something in Google from Spanish to English, it's always like kind of worded, not how you would actually like say it. The Lights over Phoenix!
The Lights of Phoenix. Yeah, most likely. So, here we go. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Exciting. So the Phoenix Lights refer to what many people consider an extraterrestrial event that happened over Phoenix, Arizona, in case you don't know where Phoenix is, on March 13th, 1997. That was also the year Clay was born.
It's true.
We were just talking about his birthday, like, aw, jeez.
I was 9.
Aw, jeez, Rick.
I was not. And I actually remember it happening.
I don't remember it happening because it wasn't reported on national news for like a couple days, and I just to age myself, I was in the Army then, so I was a pretty big skeptic about everything.
See, I was in like the 2nd or 3rd grade.
Until I actually believed what someone explained them as to be, because I've seen things like that, until I heard the rest of the reports. But we'll get into that in a little bit. So I have to start by saying that there were literally thousands of people who saw these things and began reporting it. They started at 7:30 p.m. and they ended at 10:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time for that time of year.
And I don't have any details up right now. Adam might get there based on his notes, but I think this is considered to be one of the actual like largest viewed UFO sightings in history. Like there was just so many people and they all described the same things. So
Precisely the same thing.
yeah, so this is going to be interesting. I'm really looking forward to hearing what you have to throw down.
And when we talked about the ding ding, when we talked about the Bridgewater Triangle, we were talking about literally hundreds of people. This is thousands upon thousands of people. People who don't live here don't realize that the Phoenix metropolitan area right now, I believe, is 7.4 million people. There's a lot of people who saw this. Even back then, when it was at 4 million, that's a lot of folks that are like, "Hey man, I saw something," and people just didn't see it in Arizona, which we'll get to just now. I put these really nice detailed notes in, and I want to, if I could, tantalize you with the story as we're going down. So what I'm doing is I'm moving down my notes and kind of giving you little tidbits and pieces of things as if it's a story rather than just me reporting information that I know.
I like to wing it.
He actually does like to wing it. So a lot of folks that are Clay Titis will enjoy his brand of lackadaisical podcasting, if you will. But it's an Adam podcast today. It's an Adam cast. I'm casting Adam into your home, so we're going to do it my way. So these sightings stretched for over 300 miles. They ranged from the Nevada-Arizona state line all the way down to Tucson, Arizona. Tucson's a lovely town. If you're down there, try their meth. It's fantastic. I'm just kidding, Tucson. I'm a Sun Devil, so F you guys. Okay. But I'm just kidding. Wildcats.
U of A. UFA. UFO.
Oh, UFO. Good. I like that.
It's connective tissue. That's how I wing it.
I like that.
Connective tissue.
He winged it and hit the mic as he did.
I hit the mic.
That's how we do things here. Enjoy this long episode.
I didn't like how the mic was looking at me.
I hope all the viewers are going to enjoy this. I hope you have a long car ride that you're listening to this on, because it's going to be a long one today. I didn't mean for this. Okay, so 2 events were reported right at the beginning of this event. One was a triangle-shaped group of lights that passed over the state, and the other, people said they saw a group of lights that hovered over Phoenix and remained there for some time. Fife Symington, Clay would remember this because he was living here, that I was not living here this time, was the governor of Arizona at this time.
I was 9, though.
And by the way, if you like the name Fife Symington, he was Fife Symington III. So it was a very odd name that 3 men were named. He was the governor of Arizona, and he described the event as otherworldly. Now, here are some of the initial reports. At 7:55 p.m., a man in Henderson, Nevada, that's South Nevada. It's just right below on the map of Las Vegas. When you're driving to Las Vegas from Arizona, you have to go through Henderson. Lovely town, nice people. They have an A&W still there you can go to if you don't want to take the highway. I love A&W fast food chains. You don't have them on the East Coast. Come out here and try our A&W. Delicious. He reported seeing a very large... Here it is. Do something.
This episode sponsored by A&W.
A&W. Don't tell me you don't love A&W. They don't have them here anymore, but they have a few. Okay, he reported seeing a large V-shaped object in the sky above. He said it was about the size of a Boeing 747 with 6 lights on its leading edge. It was moving from northwest to southeast and made a wind rushing noise as it traveled. A police officer from Paulden, Arizona, had never been there. Didn't even know that Paulden existed.
It's a population of 5.
5. One police officer, evidently. At 8:15, said he saw a cluster of orange lights in the sky. He stated that the lights had 4 lead lights and then a 5th trailing them. So a little bit of a difference of these 2 reports, which I have a theory on.
Let's hear it.
I have a theory. Maybe the craft was moving so fast that the light displacement was off because of the atmospheric conditions. We have a lot of particulates in the air that can play tricks on our eyes. Makes our skies look tremendously orange on sunsets. The sun and the moon can look more gigantic than any other place in the world, especially when on the horizon where all those particulates are. They can make the moon look almost blood red sometimes. So he is describing orange lights, which could be the particulates in the air, which would have varied from Nevada, where they don't, for some reason, don't have as many particulates in the air. Maybe they don't have as much red dust. That iron-rich soil. And maybe he saw the 5th trailing because it was moving so quickly. I don't know if that's how that works. Clearly, it wasn't moving at the speed of light because he wouldn't have seen anything. So
true.
Or past the speed of light. But I don't know. There's a theory I'm throwing out there. And at about 8:17 p.m., witnesses began reporting sightings everywhere. They reported a solid V-shaped object that blocked out a large portion of the sky with lights similar to the initial report. It was so large, it was blocking out large portions of the sky.
Which, that's weird to me, because that's not something that you hear about with, like, other UFO incidences. Like, I remember seeing photos, especially right after it happened. And, yeah, there's like, this black V with lights. And it's covering up the stars, because it was dark, you know? So that's... Yeah, whatever. It was big, is the point.
I would have liked to have seen this. I envy you, because I would have liked to have seen this on the news live.
Well, good thing for you, there's 4K video recordings that you can check out. Except there's not.
Yeah, there's because in 97.
No one got really good video of this. There are videos, but they're pretty...
Yeah, they're all consumer camcorders
poopy.
From back in the day that were like... What was it, 420 or 480? What is that resolution?
It's bad, yeah, 480 at best.
Yeah, so, but...
It looks like 7 dots or whatever.
They're like child cameras today.
It's like the person filming it had like Parkinson's.
Just shaky.
Real shaky.
Just punchy as hell.
Zoomed in all the way. And you just hear, oh my gosh, what is that, what is that?
Yeah. They're not professional filmmakers. It's not like Clay and I with gimbals and stuff. And it's unfortunate. It's too bad Clay couldn't have been out there with his camera that he made the last 5 days on. Incidentally, there was a guy who made a nasty comment saying there's no way that the last 5 days, 10 years later, could have come out 10 years after when it just came out. But he didn't even look at your face, man.
He didn't. No. Thank you for thinking that I didn't age. I appreciate it.
Yeah, but it indeed came out 10 years later because we held on to that. He held on to that for 10 years before he released it, so it would be awesome and authentic. So we're glad you appreciate it. Or don't. I don't know. Anyway, so...
Hey, they watched the sequel, so if it was the worst movie ever made, why would you watch the sequel to that?
Because you have to.
Have to? Or you secretly liked it, but you don't want people to know?
I secretly liked it.
Squidward and Krabby Patties.
I secretly liked it. I thought it was wonderful. I really did. But I digress. So...
Back to the V-shaped...
Back to Prescott, Arizona, actually, where this 8:17 p.m. sighting happened. By the way, before we get started any further, if you look at the time frame that I'm discussing from 7:55 to 8:17, all the way from Nevada, all the way down to Prescott, Arizona, if you're looking on a map, that is an impossible amount of time to speed through the sky. I don't know how fast this craft was going, but it was going that fast, where it pretty much traversed the border of Nevada, so it came from Nevada. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, that's the first sighting, but it came from Area 51 or wherever. Yeah. And it's going in that trajectory, coming toward Phoenix. And it did it in about 20 minutes. There's no aircraft that does that, people. So I'm telling you right now, we fly it all the time. Always going to Vegas because we're party animals. Not Clay and I, but my wife and I. I want Clay to go, but he hates it.
It's true.
He does. He hates it. But that is an impossible amount of speed to be going in a craft that large.
Yeah, you could get to Hawaii in like an hour and a half tops.
Maybe. Who knows if it's aliens, right?
I just wanted to bring up Hawaii. It's not a true
Hawaii.
episode if it's not.
It's not a Hawaii
about
episode.
Hawaii.
Devon, or Devon, I don't know how to pronounce his name, is Devon.
The N is silent.
Yep.
Devo.
And Jamie Lorenz of Prescott, Arizona, spelled Prescott but pronounced Prescott, reported seeing the object and stated that the lights were red with a lead light that was white. They called it a cluster of lights that made up a V pattern. It moved quickly over the areas and did not make a sound as it traveled further south. So now it's no longer making a sound. The lights are red now, but they still say they just thought there were lights in a V pattern. But all these people are saying this, and this thing is sailing along and no longer making any sound. So, kind of interesting. Clay speechless. I'm moving on.
I am speechless.
The National UFO Reporting Center also received numerous reports of the event, some varying from the initial reports. Some reports describe the lights as yellow, with a light trailing behind. All reports say that we're watching the lights say that they travel from northwest to south or southeast, saying that it was indeed coming from the Nevada area, possibly Area 51, who knows? Ooh, and traveling down this way. The first sightings in Phoenix, this is what Clay would remember. Tim Lay and his wife Bobby, with an I, classy. His son Hal, I like that name, and his grandson Damien Turndage first saw the lights when they were above the Prescott Valley, about 65 miles away from them. That's a long distance. And by the way, in Arizona, you can see more than 65 miles away from you. It is so clear here, you cannot believe it. At first, the lights appeared to them as 5 separate and distinct lights in an arc shape, as if they were on top of a balloon. But then they soon realized that the lights appeared to be moving towards them. Over the next 10 or so minutes, the lights appeared to come closer. The distance between the lights increased, and they looked as if they were the shape of an upside-down V. So upside down this time. Eventually, when the lights appeared to be a couple miles away, the witnesses could make out the shape that looked like a 60-degree carpenter square. With the 5 lights set into it, 1 on the front and 2 on each side. So they're not saying 6. So there's some varying reports, but atmospheric conditions can probably skew these a bit. And it was a cloudy day.
Sure, yeah.
Never cloudy days here in Arizona. There was clouds that day. Soon the object with the embedded lights appeared to be coming right down the street where they lived, about 100 to 150 feet, or 30 to 45 meters if you're not from America, above them. I do that once in a while. Traveling so slowly that they appeared to traveling so slowly that they appeared to hover, and they were totally silent. The object then seemed to pass over their heads and went through a V opening in the peaks of the mountain range toward Squaw Peak Mountain, no longer called Squaw Peak because squaw is a negative word. We now call it Piestewa Peak for a Native American lady that died in the war in Afghanistan. So
I thought squaw was just the sound birds make, but you don't want to say tweet.
Yeah, the French called Native American women that, and it was a very derogatory term.
Oh, see, I didn't know.
You
learn something new every day.
Talk about history. So we don't say that anymore. We say Piestewa Peak after, I believe she was a private Piestewa who gave her life for this country. So thanks for that, geez Louise. And toward the direction of, through that mountain range, toward the direction of Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport. Crazy. It's going toward the airport now. Still in the same exact trajectory. Witnesses in Glendale, Arizona, a suburb northwest of Phoenix, still moving that way, saw an object pass overhead at an altitude high enough to become obscured by the thin clouds. This was approximately between 8:30 and 8:45 Mountain Standard Time. This is 1 hour. It's doing all this now. It's not even an hour yet. We're at 40 minutes.
Yeah,
that is crazy fast, and it's coming. People say it's moving northwest to southeast rapidly and getting lower and lower and lower on the horizon. Which, wowzers, right? And everybody keeps saying the same stuff. When the triangle formation entered the Phoenix area, Bill Grainer, a cement truck driver, hauling a load down a mountain north of Phoenix, described a second group of lights. This is what he said. I'll never be the same. Before this, if anybody had told me I saw a UFO, I would have said, yeah, and I believe in the Tooth Fairy. Now I've got a whole new view, and I may be just a dumb truck driver, but I've seen something that don't belong here.
Don't belong here. Get out.
Yeah, I don't want to give him any accent though.
Well,
Grainer stated that the lights hovered over the area for more than 2 hours. So, and by the way, that is correct. After they reached here, it took about 40 minutes to traverse all that area. Hovered over the area here for about 2 hours. So that's when everybody started seeing it like crazy. So here's some explanations. I'm going to go into some explanations of what people said what it was, okay? This is what I believed at first, too. Shortly after that day, I think it was the next day, the United States Air Force announced that the lights were simply flares that were released by an A-10 Warthog from Luke Air Force Base. So the hovering lights, to me, looked like the lights that I saw from flares that were released from aircraft in the service.
Sure, I forgot about those flares that travel 300 miles and stay in perfect formation.
Now, I have something to say about that, but I'll say it later. I believe that they were trying to obscure what those were by sending up flares. If something's traveling that far and that low to the ground, and that quickly people are reporting it, and is coming toward Phoenix, what are the chances if it came from a place like Area 51, which is, about where it could have came from, that the United States Air Force didn't intercept it or see it leave, and they decided to just let off a bunch of flares on a Warthog? Why would they be doing a flare test on a Warthog over Phoenix? That makes no sense, right?
Yeah.
So I think they're probably trying to obscure it in some way, but that's another thing altogether. Now, there are also some other explanations that I'm going to get into right now. So one is the Air Force said, those are just flares. Don't worry about it, guys. Don't pay attention, but man behind the curtain, it's fine. And we all were like, okay. UFO advocate Jim, I hope I pronounced his name right, Delet Oso, claimed, he's a liar, but he claimed to have performed a spectral analysis of photographs and video imagery that proved the lights could not have been produced by a man-made source. He claimed that he had also used software called, ready for this? Don't laugh, Image Pro Plus. Remember that?
Yeah.
Such a scientist. We don't know what version it was, but it doesn't matter because it was the worst thing in the world. To determine the amount of red, green, and blue in the various photographic and video images and construct histograms of the data, which were then compared to several photographs known to be flares. Several sources have pointed out, however, that it is impossible to determine the spectral signature of a light source based solely on photographic or videographic imagery. As film and electronics inherently alter, this was a really technical note, so I put a lot of notes in here. They inherently alter a spectral signature of a light source. You are dry. Okay. By shifting the hue in the visible spectrum, and experts in spectroscopy, that's how I said that right, have dismissed his claims as being scientifically invalid. Now, I will say that Clay and I will both agree it would be impossible to see anything in a spectroscope from regular photography, and especially on this program.
Yeah.
There's normal equipment people would have used back then, even now. It eliminates light outside the visible spectrum. That's how photographs work. And back then, they used silver haloid, so you wouldn't have gotten any infrared because that doesn't work that way. There was no, 1997, there was no real digital photography yet, especially for consumers. So it was on film.
Yep.
So there's no spectral analysis that you can do on that, and I will stand by that. If you want to write on our Instagram, talk about scary, you can call me a liar, and I will call you full of crap because I know what I'm talking about. Very rarely do I know what I'm talking about. This is one of the things. So you couldn't do a complete spectral analysis without infrared and ultraviolet. The maker of Image Pro Plus Image Pro Plus. Has stated its software is incapable of performing spectroscopic analysis. This guy was full of it, but back then you could have just yelled out a bunch of gobbledygook and people would have believed you, because it was like alchemy back then, talking about digital photography or scanning an image. And he had to scan that image because back then that's the only way you could get it on a computer. So there's no way you could have done it. Shortly after the occurrence of the lights, Arizona Governor Fife Symington III held a press conference stating that they found who was responsible. You can watch this stuff on video. This stuff is funny. And I thought this episode was supposed to be longer, but we're just in the right amount of time.
I can extend it with a drum solo.
Yeah, you're really getting me with that.
I'm trying to make it intense, like
it is. I can add it later. You don't
courtroom
have to.
style. No, like
nice.
it's gotta be for me.
So Barney Fife Symington.
It's my contributions.
It is your contribution thing. We'll notice that once in a while Clay will he won't contribute very much to an episode, is because when we start our episodes, we'll do a few in a row. I don't mind telling you the secrets to our unsuccess.
Do.
And whenever we start, he's like, I'm not quite ready yet. Can you start with yours? So I'm always starting with mine. Now it's techno. Clay can beatbox too. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. I cannot. That's nice.
I'm not going to demonstrate that.
No. So the Arizona governor, in a nutshell, gets on camera and he has a press conference. And this genius of a human being that's running this state.
His IQ was 9.
9. He says, we found who was responsible. And then he brings out a guy dressed in an alien costume on national television.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know this.
I had to watch it.
Oh, man.
What a class act. So one of his aides dressed like an alien. Oh, it was me. Nice. You can watch that on Dateline NBC.
Smooth.
So if you like Dateline, if you want to stream that, you can actually watch the Phoenix Light episode, and you can see what this jackhole did. I thought that was hilarious. It was funny. It's just inappropriate. Something that I would have done. He shouldn't have done that. But on in March 2007, 10 years later, Symington said that he had witnessed one of the crafts of unknown origin during the 1997 event. He also did not go public with the information until later, obviously because he was the governor. In an interview with the Daily Courier of Prescott, Arizona, Symington said, "I'm a pilot, and I know just about every machine that flies. It was bigger than anything I've ever seen. It remains a great mystery. Other people saw it, responsible people. I don't know why people would ridicule it." Symington had earlier said it was enormous and inexplicable, which is something that my wife has said quite a few times. I am so sorry. Ever since the Hotel Monte Vista, I've just had a very foul...
He's not sorry.
I'm not sorry, but that's what she said, but I don't want to say she because it's just one person that said it. Nobody else will ever say that. Who knows where it came from? ? A lot of people saw it, and I saw it too. It was dramatic, and it couldn't have been flares because it was too symmetrical. It had a geometric outline and a constant shape. That was his quote, except for all that stuff about my wife and that joke. That's not part of the quote. I should have said quote, end quote, but I'm sorry, guys. I'll start doing that.
You can figure it out.
Yeah.
If you can't,
I believe that what happened when he went on the press conference to say what he said was he was probably told by the federal government, you better make light of this and call it a day.
Yeah, that's probably true.
So, but still jackhole for doing the alien thing. That's something that I would have done. I'm an idiot, not you. You're running the state. He also noted that he requested information from the commander of Luke Air Force Base, the general of the National Guard, and the head of the Department of Public Safety, but none of the officials he contacted had an answer for what had happened. And they were also perplexed on that day. Later, he responded to an Air Force explanation that the lights were flares. So,
which I don't buy.
Yeah, he said that in a nutshell, he said those flares, if those were flares, they're nothing like any man-made object I've ever seen. And there certainly weren't high-altitude flares because flares don't fly in formation, which Clay just said.
It's true.
Yeah. And in an episode of a popular television show called UFO Hunters, called Arizona Lights, Symington said that he contacted the military asking what the lights were. He said it on television, then he said it again. And the response was no comment. They said no comment. And he was the governor of Arizona. He wasn't an ordinary citizen.
Yeah.
But I guess that's how it works out. So, one more person, Frances Barwood, the 1997 Phoenix City Councilwoman, who launched an investigation into the event, said that over 700 witnesses she interviewed, the government never interviewed even one of them. So she reported these to the government, and the government never got back and interviewed one of the witnesses. So either they truly were some sort of test flight of government proportions, and they wanted to obscure it, so they put out a bunch of flares and said, we'll just tell these stupid people from 1997 this is what it is. Or they were aliens. I'm thinking that it could be the latter because, we've already have declassified information of unidentified flying objects that the U.S. military have seen now.
Well, if it was a test, here's my issue with if it was a test. Why would it have been so difficult to just announce it beforehand? I mean, now you've got like SpaceX launching rockets and stuff. Like there are all kinds of, I don't want to call them tests, but we're launching satellites and things like that. And everyone knows. They tell you weeks in advance. You can usually watch it live. They're not trying to cover up anything. It's known to all. So if this was just a test, how hard would it have been? It's not like they needed to go on TV and announce it, but they could have let the governor know or someone know, like, hey, we're doing a test just so you have a heads up. You might get some calls. We don't know what it's going to look like. People might be suspicious.
Yeah, I think
that's my issue with this.
Yeah, it's definitely compelling. I mean, I think it's most people think it's the most compelling piece of evidence of UFOs ever cited by a mass group of people. Couldn't have been mass hysteria. Arizona's desolate in areas. So people from Nevada all the way down to Phoenix and Tucson, because people saw it in Tucson. That's how enormous this thing was. And I think that it's food for thought. And to talk about scary, and I think aliens are scary. Don't you?
I don't know. No, not necessarily.
I mean, all the pictures they're pretty gooey and scary looking. Tiny little scary big-eyed things.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's what they really look like.
Well, like toddlers?
I haven't decided yet. Like,
you don't think they're like humanoid looking, but like with big old eyes and big old brains and tiny appendages?
Maybe, but I also kind of think that if there's something that advanced that can travel here from so far away that we can't even like see them, that they're probably advanced enough that they don't want to harm us. That's kind of the way I look at it. Is
see, I like the Cowboys and Aliens thing where they all came down. I like those aliens. Those are terrifying, and they were like the gold. And I already talked.
Well, I mean, they're fun to like imagine, but I kind of think that if there's real aliens, I don't think that they want to like abduct us and like do weird experiments and stuff. Like they're probably just us, but more advanced. They've been around longer. Obviously, they can travel further to get here, and
so like sexy aliens from the Marvel universe.
That's exactly it. Yeah,
I hope
that's
so.
It. Yeah.
If they're gonna probe me, I hope they're sexy. I would like some Marvel superheroes.
Doop doop doop
doop doop to probe me.
Doop doop doop.
Marvel is a copyrighted piece of information from. Is it Disney now?
Disney owns the planet, basically. I think Disney might even own this podcast if we don't
I better
be
stop.
careful. Yeah.
I heard they're suing. Stan Lee's family. Still watching all the movies. Sorry, guys.
It's kind of messed up, though. Like,
still
he's
watching
dead.
all
We're
the
gonna sue
movies.
his family.
Yeah.
Sorry about Stan, but we want more of your money and stuff.
So you better step out of the way.
Anyway, we're probably running out of time.
We've run out of time a long time ago. We got to stop this.
The Phoenix Lights is definitely something that you should look into. We probably could have done a 2 or 3 part episode about this topic, so definitely look into it. There's lots of interesting side stories that we didn't get a chance to touch on.
Yeah, and I just
documentaries, specials, films, it's all out there.
I made it real short. this is as short as I can make it.
Talk about short.
Talk about
Doop,
short.
doop,
Talk
doop.
about 34 minutes. All right.
Doop, doop, doop,
Doop,
doop,
doop, doop, doop, doop. So,
Creep it real.
Creep it real, guys.
I said it first.
Yeah, you keep it real, guys. Thanks for listening. I like that one. That was fun.
Yeah.
I know it was long, but I was the long one first to get you warmed up. So I hope you